Hi, welcome to Bizarre Creations. My name's Andy Kearney, I'm a junior designer here, and today I'm going to be giving you a bit of a sneak peek and an insider look at the world of Blur in preparation for our multiplayer beta we've got coming out in March. So if you'd like to follow me, I'll show you around.
So what I'm going to talk to you about today is how we went about creating the environments for Blur. It's a little bit different to how we've created the environments for our previous games. Before, we've always taken a real world location and pretty much copy it to the letter. With the nature of Blur and all the chaos that's going on the track at one time, we felt that that wasn't really going to fit with our game, so we really needed to design tracks that were a lot more kind of not easy to navigate, but a lot more straightforward, and you weren't going to have to think too hard at the bends when somebody was like trying to hit you with a shunt or a barge or whatever else. I'm going to show you one of the sort of more rural locations that we chose, and that was Sausalito, San Francisco. It's obviously quite a few iconic visuals going on in this place. So we've got the Golden Gate Bridge that comes across here, and then the route sort of comes up round here through this large tunnel, and then takes all the roads through the hills, drops back down onto the beach, and then you drive along the beach and under the Golden Gate Bridge. Now obviously in reality you can't do that because there aren't any roads on the beach and the rocks come out, and you can't get from one bit to the other. So we actually created tunnels in between so that you have this link that comes right the way through. As you come through the tunnel, we've still got the same problem here where you can't really drive, so we've just kind of made this area up a little bit. We've got the fog coming in onto the beach, and then we've got this kind of rocky archway that you can decide to drive through, or you can take the path through where the sea's lapping up against the beach. And then you just get closer to the bridge, and it's just like real iconic moments that we're trying to capture all the time.
Hey, we are joined here by Jed Talbot. You are the lead designer on Blur.
Yeah, that's right.
Working for Bizarre Creations.
Yeah.
We're both very tired. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. And you?
I am tired, but I've spent almost an entire day playing some Blur, and it's looking pretty good. It is very different from the PGR games, but it is still a racing game at its core. Is there anything you'd say that the experience with PGR that you brought into Blur, anything specific?
One thing that we have to say is one of our legacies from PGR was great handling. Great physics model, and these are things that we wanted to carry over into Blur. Similarly, people, as soon as you decide that you want real cars, then it's a no-brainer that you're going to have real environments or realistic environments. So the challenge was how to take those real cars and those real environments and then meld them into a more action-orientated experience, and that's been what we've been trying to do for the past 2 years.
Song 2, had you even considered it?
No.
It didn't even come up in a conversation at some point. There wasn't in a meeting room where you said, you need to get that song and put it over the opening credits. Or were your audio guys, did they just wanted nothing to do with any of that?
No, we'd actually done all of the audio agreements and all of the agreements with artists long before we came up with the name. It just turned out to be a happy accident that we sounded like a major UK band.
All right, final question. Geometry Wars 3, what's up?
Can't tell you.
But that's not a no, that's not a denial.
That's a can't tell you.
And we're going to cliffhanger on that. Jed, thank you so much for your time,
Thank
sir.
you.
Morning, welcome. I'm Nick Wiswell, audio manager. This is Mike DeBell, lead sound designer.
Hello.
We're going to show you some of the individual audio elements of Blur, because obviously you'll get the chance to experience the full thing later on today down at the big event. So we're going to start today with power-ups. The brief the designers gave us for the power-ups is they wanted big Hollywood sci-fi blockbuster sounds. So we had the unfortunate task of sitting down having to watch through Star Wars and Iron Man and Transformers. It was really hard work, but we used that as inspiration to sort of create the sound of the power-ups, and we'll go through each one of them quickly for you now. So first up we've got Shunt. This is a homing projectile. Now the one cool thing about this is it is a projectile attack, so we've attached the sound to the projectile so you can actually hear it chasing you along the track, which obviously is great for gameplay reasons. You can hear where it is, it's coming up behind you. So you can dodge out of the way before it hits you. And you can also fire that backwards as well. Off it goes. Then we have Barge, the radius attack. And the mine can be fired forwards and backwards. So we were given the brief that this is an energy ball that builds in intensity until it reaches critical mass and explodes, or somebody unfortunately drives into it. So we've made the sound pretty much do the same thing. It's a big evolving building sound over time. Here is our friend the door. Now we've used this to record scrape sounds. We tied a rope to it, we tied the rope to the back of a car, I hung out the back of a car with a microphone and we dragged it up and down the street outside the office for an hour. So we got some really good scrapes. We've hit it with hammers, we've thrown it at things, we've done all sorts of crazy things with it, but the stones are actually some gravel from the grassed area out the back and some wet tissue paper thrown at the door. So we got those individual stone hits and mud hits that we were looking for, and then we used those as individual samples in the game, control their playback so that as you go quicker we play more of them, we increase the randomization, and obviously it's a full four-wheel model, so each wheel's modeled separately on the car, so you're getting all that variation of what tyre's doing what at each time. We also have a fiberglass door off a Lotus Elise, which we got because one of the guys here owns it and one of our audio programmers drove into it.
And I'm joined here by Gareth Wilson, lead designer on Blur from Bizarre Creations. Gareth, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
I think I just talked to someone else who claimed he was the lead designer. What's up with that?
We share the role.
So co-leads?
Yes.
Who's the real lead designer? Straight up, tell me.
I'm the daddy around here, to be honest.
That's what I thought. We're seeing Blur here today for the first time in a long time. I haven't seen it since E3 09, and a lot has changed.
Absolutely. When we started work on Blur, it was a really tough development, to be honest. We'd recently been acquired by Activision. We were still finishing off downloadable content for PGR4 that we were contracted to do. So we started on Blur really quite late, and we started with a completely brand new engine right from scratch, which was multi-format. We needed an engine that would work on PS3 and PC and all that sort of stuff. So by the time we got to E3, we were like, just stoked that we managed to get a game actually running and working in time for E3, and really we essentially ran out of time last year to really put all the really cool and awesome features that we wanted to put in. So we went and spoke to Activision and said, hey, look, we need a little bit more time to make this game great, and they were great about it. They said, hey, you can have as long as you need, and we felt, well, give us up till May and we'll make a great game for you. So that's what we did.
Was there any kind of specific feature that you felt really kind of flourished because of that 6 months?
Sure. I mean, the two big changes were the changes with the power-ups. What we wanted to do with the power-ups is add more ways of using them more of the time. So each of the power-ups had to be useful more often. And the way we did this was by adding alternate fire capabilities to the majority of the power-ups. So an example would be last year at E3, if you had a shunt, you could only fire it forwards, you couldn't fire it backwards.
I love firing the shunt backwards.
Yeah, it's badass, right?
It's like when you blind fire it backwards and you manage to hit someone, so satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second big deal was looking at the mods that we were providing in multiplayer and single player. Now, mods are really powerful upgrades to power-ups and the cars that you're driving, and they really provide different strategies that you can play with when you're online.
How do you feel about the comparisons to Mario Kart? Like, there is obviously thematically and visually it's very different, but there's the kind of the power up focus.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Well, we're really flattered to be associated with any game. Mario Kart in particular is a hugely successful game. So if we can even begin to get to their levels of sales and people enjoying the game, then that's awesome. I think where we differ from Mario Kart and other power up based races is the level of strategy and tactics in the power ups themselves. We made sure that none of the power ups are instant one-hit kills. Every single power-up can be evaded. So, for example, we've got Shock, which is a power-up that just targets the front of the pack. But what it does, instead of just whacking the guy in first place all the time, it shoots down EMP blasts in front of that person. And if they're super skillful, they can just weave through them and escape unscathed. So we wanted to make sure that we took the luck and the sort of game cheating on you out of the equation completely and based it purely on skill.
So no one getting blue shelled this time.
Yeah, well, that does kind of wind you up every now and again on Mario Kart, right?
Geometry Wars 3.
Yeah. Okay, so Geometry Wars 3. Geometry Wars is how can I say, a labor of love.
Sure.
It's done when it's done.
Right.
So it's one of the few games that at Bizarre Creations just really doesn't have a schedule, right? When there's only maybe 2 or 3 people who are really involved in working on Geometry Wars. They're doing all sorts of super complex stuff for us, and when they get free time, they work on it. And it's really an example of a video game which really comes to fruition without a deadline. So Geometry Wars 2 just came and was done very quickly. Geometry Wars 1 came very quickly. Then Geometry Wars 2 took forever to come out, and it was really because the guys were just messing around with it, and there was no real deadline for it. And that's why it's such a great game, because it didn't have the pressures of time or anything like that. So it'll be done when it's done.
Excellent. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Gareth, thank you so much for your time.
No worries, thank you.
Okay guys, cheers for coming by. Make sure you get your hands on the copy of the MP Beta coming your way in March. We've got 4 tracks, 14 vehicles, plenty of mods, plenty of challenges. It's going to be epic. So make sure you get yourselves an early key and give us all a run for our money when the game comes out in May. Cheers guys.